to use email to create e-invoice is much easier. The supplier just get into the email system. In this case, I create an email dummy account. Okay, and then they will see the invoice is sent to their email box. All right, so this individual from the supplier side, they just open the PO email. They will see the content inside, right? Who create that, and what service or goods we are looking for. If they say okay, they're ready to submit an invoice, they can click on this button, right? Create invoice very easily. So same format as the supplier portal. Supplier, they prepare the invoice method, invoice number, right? They upload the invoice in whatever format, as long as the format match with the service charge, and if there's any taxation, right? It match with the number, then that is okay. Say this book times 7%, and then everything else is okay. It looks okay. Click calculate, have the grand total, and the breakdown. Submit. Confirm it one more time. Need to send the invoice. This is how the supplier create an e-invoice by email. And again, the email is in it is the supplier email box, right? So it's highly secure. It's less likely anyone else they create on behalf of the supplier. Okay. Now let's say I get back into the supplier portal, right? The supplier, they click on invoice tab. They also able to see the invoice they create by email, right? So the supplier portal is a hub for the supplier. They can centralize all the activities have been done. Again, they can click into the invoice and check the status and the payments payment status. So there's no issue here. So from my point of view, I believe the way to create an e-invoice is quite easy. It brings more convenience to the supplier, and certainly reduce a lot of workload for VF. So for instance, our VF employees, they don't need to scan the invoice or forward the invoice image to dialing team, right? Because now the supplier, they will create the invoice, they upload the invoice directly to dialing. Okay, so we skip all those chaos. Now the next couple minutes, I'm going to show you the VF side, okay, the dialing side, how they will view the invoice and what they need to do to check the invoice. Okay, now I back to the testing Cooper instance. In the invoice tab, as you can see, if you still remember, I created two e-invoice, right? One is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 ABC, and then the other one is this one, right? The Singapore Retail Association. All right. So as I mentioned, the invoice will directly get into Cooper. Now it's up to AP team in dialing, how they allocate the work in the team and then handle the invoice. All right. Now before I'm going to finish the entire invoice receive process, one thing I want to highlight is if e-invoicing is going to introduce to our business, right? So the business team, they create PO, done. Supplier, they provide goods or service, and then they submit the e-invoice to VF, done, right? So three-way match, the last element will be GR, right? Goods received from the supplier, from the user side. The question is, how the user know the invoice supplier already submit the invoice? Okay, so first of all, I use in the testing environment, I use my name to create the invoice. So normally what happen is the to-do list will show, okay, that's to receive, okay, you have to do. So the system will have the to-do list, and normally user, they will receive an email for this confirm to receive message. So I'm showing my email box now. As you see here, it tells me, right, Cooper will send an email to the requester email box and say, hey, confirm receipt for the invoice number which, right? And then we'll have the invoice attachment in here as well. The requester, they can simply click on receive here. It will take the requester to Cooper to perform GL. Alright, so my point is, the email notification will send it out one time. If the supplier, if the requester have a frequency to get into Cooper, and then they see to do this, have something is pending, they will get into it and then do the GL as well. Okay, so let me finish the one of the invoice GL here, and I click save. This is how much suggest to goods receive. All right, so the user side, the requester side, create the PO and then did the goods receive. The invoice is in our system, say AP now. They get into the system and then click into the invoice. All they have to do is they open up the invoice image, okay, and say, oh, this is not an invoice image, right? This is a picture with no invoice information. But then so there's no way for them to verify whether this price and that this taxation, everything else is correct. So most likely what the AP they would do is they will reject the invoice. So give me a minute. Alright, so sorry, I just add as one of the AP, and now I click into the invoice. Okay, as say if I open up the invoice image scan is a picture, is nothing can relate it to the service price and the taxation rate. So normally if everything is okay, right, evidence and then all the details is fine, in dialing AP they just review everything and say approve, go ahead, then it will post in SAP, right? If in this case obviously the attachment or certain things is wrong, okay, they're not satisfied with this invoice created by the supplier, what the AP would do is reject the invoice first, right? So then it will see the status is reject, and AP need to get in again to give the supplier a second chance to correct the invoice. So they will click on dispute. Okay, now it will go back to the supplier email, and then the dispute reason is a must. Okay, so the AP team, they will select the dispute reason. So in this case, it's say invalid. Well, say let's say that is other, right? Invoice is a picture is attached. Okay, so let's say this is the dispute reason, and then click dispute. Okay, say dispute reason is other and invoice incorrect, further comment here, and click on dispute. This invoice will go back to supplier portal, and then the email will send to the supplier email box as well. So here, the supplier mailbox, you see that ABC, the invoice number 1234567 ABC is in dispute by email. Okay, so if you click into the email, you see the reason, you see additional comment, right? So email notification was sent to the supplier. Just quickly get into the supplier portal. So the supplier portal will not have any additional notification, because the notification sent to the email, the supplier email. What the supplier need to do is get into the invoice, right? Invoice tab, and then they see it is dispute. The action under the action column, they can resolve the dispute reason, right? I say correct invoice now, so that if the invoice attachment have some problem, and then this time I correct that, I say yeah, let's attach this one, and then everything else should be fine, and submit. This invoice, the disputed invoice, will be sent to VF one more time. So you see, once I resubmit the invoice, the status is processing. Now I will get back to AP view and see what's going on. Okay, now I get back to the AVP view and AP view, and then in the invoice tab, I see the reprocess invoice here, right? So you see the original one, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 ABC, it show void, okay, because well, in the past it was dispute, but then the vendor correct the invoice, so now it become the other invoice, right? So not the original one. The original one already void, so we have the new invoice with the same invoice number. Now what we can do is click inside, and then it tells you that this invoice is a correction for the previous one, right? That had been disputed. So AP, they have a clear vision why there may be a duplicate invoice here, right? So they look, check, everything is fine now. See the attachment. Okay, so although this one have no attachment, let's say here's a mistake, right? I purposely do that. They say, oh yeah, check this thing, IR, everything is good, and then they say approve, right? Obviously, AP missed to check the invoice copy, but then they say approve, so it will post to SAP, right? So it has you say, oh, it has a problem because it shouldn't be in this way. But my point is, the AP job, right, is already in the dialing side. If this is the case, there's any mishandling, we raise it to the dialing team and say, hey, what's going on? Why you process that? Okay. This is my point of view, how we should handle the invoice going forward. But anyway, the e-invoicing concept is here. If we need to talk to further the other parties to make it work, please let me know who I should talk to. Otherwise, we can schedule, we can start to plan now how we're going to implement this change to the business and to our supplier. As you know, Cooper system, right? The system itself supports some local language. So if I go down here, this is that many languages it support. All right. The supplier have basic interface translation in the system. I don't think the system will, the language would be a huge issue, but if that is, please let me know as well. Thank you for your time, and then we will talk more about this in the e-invoice implementation. Thank you.